All right. All right. Welcome to the Random Workbench. I gotta clean up this mess here. Some stuff out of the way. And let's get started on working on this. I hope the audio is not too loud for the music. And that doesn't sound like it is. It's actually a little loud for me. Right. So I've got a mess here, but I've got a project that I need to work on, and so I figured this would be the right time to do it. It's just some things. Today I'm going to work on this Baymax guy that I 3D printed. I'm going to turn it into nightlight, I guess. And so kind of have a vague plan of what I'm gonna do, but we're gonna start working on this and try and get this done. Been planning on doing this live stream, and last time I tried to start the live stream, it made me wait 24 hours before starting it. So, alright, so I'm gonna need some electrical items that I forgot to get out, of course. And so, bear with me here while I get some things out. Let's see. Need some LEDs. Here. Let's see. I always did. And this one. Bump this camera here. This isn't the only view I got, don't worry. I just dropped all sorts of stuff off the top of my shelf here. Looks like it's okay. Okay, I got LEDs in one of these bins. Let's find out which. Oh, there's some resistors, we need those. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some at the bottom of this cutout. You know, when I 3D printed, and it's got a little switch on the back here and a spot for USB-C to plug in power to power some LEDs in here so that we can hopefully light this guy up. Alright, so set my LEDs here. Could be all that I need out of here. So, put these back. Now, I don't have anybody watching me right now, but maybe you'll watch this later. I don't know. Here, I'll just put this down here for right now. Alright. That seems good enough spot. So what we are going to need is our soldering iron, some solder, and probably some hot glue, or Not sure how I'm going to mount that in there. It doesn't quite fit snugly enough, but we'll figure that out. So hopefully this stream doesn't last too long. But and off screen you can't really see it, but I've got my wire and some other wire as well over here that I can pull out. Some cutters. Let's see, what else do I need? So do I have the other camera working? Let's see. Alright, there we go. So you can see the side camera here. Let's get you positioned a bit better. Up close. Personal shots. So you can kind of see my desk is always chaos. Every time I clean it, it just ends up getting more stuff on it. But it's kind of my life. So I work on my bench a lot, fixing toys, repairing various items and stuff. I actually use these dishwasher pod bins as storage for projects. So they work pretty well, and they stack good. So you can stack them, but unfortunately the label's printed on them, so I can't really take the label off. But whatever. Doesn't bother me very much, but it also allows me to kind of keep projects that I'm working on in one spot. So we got some random printer filaments here. Oh crap, I knocked some of these LEDs out. So hopefully those are the right color. Let's see, these ones are white, which is what we want anyways. Or maybe we want a warm white, not sure, but I'll take 2 of those out for right now and we'll see what color those actually are. We're gonna need some power eventually. So let me grab one of these USB cables here. Okay, so we got a USB-C cable right here. We've got a good view of things. Just light a bit. Oh, I forgot to turn the other light on, that's why. Let's turn that light on. Alright, so get a remote for that camera up top to zoom in. Otherwise I have to reach up like this. Manually zoom in. As you can see here, I already shoved this switch in the hole. It was a very tight fit. Took me a while to get in there, but it's not coming out. So we're gonna just solder directly onto that as it sits. And hopefully everything goes good with it. Let's get started. Alright, so first off I need to get some resistors out. I'll just do some 220s. They're usually a good resistor to use for these light ones. Now I don't really claim to be a professional electrical engineer and whatnot. My profession is actually software engineer. Been doing that for over 25 years. But I also do photography. I was an electrician, like a high voltage electrician, for 6 or 7 years, give or take. Working with my dad. I kind of grew up around electricity and the curiosity of how things work. So I kind of love to do this stuff. I've just got into 3D printing, and it's been quite a fun experience here. So basically what I'm just doing right now, I've got power to this. I'm just taking the resistor here, trying to test these LEDs out to see, make sure they're the white LEDs. Oh, okay, so that's a white LED. And this one's hopefully, yep, that one's a white LED also. Alright. Hopefully those are going to be bright enough. I don't have to add multiples. Need to run a wire. Probably just run soft wire. Let's get a black here and some red. Cut off of there. There we go. Right, so I've got some like flexible wire that I use sometimes, especially if I'm like trying to run it around stuff, or I need it to flex, but I also have the solid copper wire here for when I need things to be a little more rigid, like when I'm building on circuit boards and stuff. Alright, so got my kind of makeshift syringe here. This is flux. So now these wires are soft. The sheathing is soft enough where I can really just take my thumb. Here, let me switch views so you can see a little better. So I can just take my thumb and just using my thumbnail, just pinch it and just slide off that casing. And then I'll just put it in my fingers and I'll twist those strands there together. And I don't need to do the other side because I'm probably going to cut this short. But I need to run a wire from that center post to one of these posts. Or, well, not to one of these posts. So I need to run one from the center post. So I'm going to just put a little bit of flux on here so that I can tin that. More. The other one. Eventually stick. This isn't the best flux. It's kind of old, but it still works. And let me turn on soldering iron here. Hopefully it's charged. I forget to charge things all the time. So what I did was I actually hollowed out this Baymax when I printed him. So if you see that, he's nice and hollowed out in there. And the concept of this, if I can find my flashlight that fell. There you are. Is that we light him up. And we'll see how he lights up. He's got a little bit of flaws in him, but that just gives him a little character. I really don't know how to help that. I'm kind of too new to 3D printing to really figure out how to solve that problem. So I'm just going to go with it. And what I did was, when I printed him, I sliced his back off and printed his back separately. So that way later on I can if I have to run any LEDs like into his head and arms and stuff, I can do that back here and make sure that everything's positioned right. And then once I'm done, I can just glue this on the back here. That's kind of the plan. And this is not going to include batteries. It's just going to be powered by the USB-C, the 5 volts. So we will see how well that works with these LEDs. These aren't, they're bright, but you know, they may not be the brightest for this situation, and I might need to run more. But let's switch views here. Now it's probably not the best camera view. I should probably have it on the other side because I'm left-handed, so you're going to see me reaching across a lot. And probably blocking the camera. I'm still trying to get used to how to do this. Alright, looks like my soldering iron's ready to go, so let me just dip those a bit, get some flux running on that, and tin my tip here, and just get some tinning going on these posts. So that way, and I'm just putting some solder on these posts, so that way when I go to solder the wire to it, it actually sticks good. Need to also get, of course I forgot to grab those out of the bin. Need to get some shrink tubes. Got some other size ones in there. Pull those out too. This is kind of where my chaos comes from. I will get in the middle of a project. While in that middle of that project, I may get distracted or run out of time and have to leave it here for later, and sometimes I forget for multiple days. So my desk tends to get pretty messy. But so I don't have any yet, but that's all good. I didn't really expect anyone to find this anyways, at least on my first go, or maybe even on my 30th go, who knows. But I am going to I need my finger. Will help me. Tweezers here. I'm wondering if I can position this camera a little better so you can see more in front of me without it getting in the way too much. Oh, I don't really have a whole lot more room to pull that. Let's see what we can do here. Put it right here. Gonna be kinda in the way, I think, but should be able to see a little more of what I'm doing here. Let's change this up a little bit. Use this as kind of the switch leg. You pull that off there, you can see how it's kind of not twisted very well. They're just kind of shoved in there together, so I'll just twist them together by just spinning the wire while I hold it, just to get it a little closer together, and then dip it through the nozzle here, put a little flux on it. Just see if it's there, so get some new solder. solder on that, and just tin this wire. This is going to be power. Power is going to go to the... Doesn't really matter where it goes, but on this switch you can technically have the sides. Oh, see, can't even... Yeah, see? I knew my big hand was here. You want me to scoot over like this? That helps. Alright. I feel like I'm going to have to hug this camera a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Solder. Doesn't have to be a pretty job, just has to hold good. So I'm going to take this yellow, it's going to be my switch leg. It's going to go to the LEDs. Solder on that just to make sure it's got a good strong hold. That's not going nowhere. Always check your wires when you solder. You should give them a little tug, make sure they're not going anywhere. Alright. Figure out how I can control this camera to manually focus so that you can actually so I can actually focus on what I'm doing instead of it just auto focusing on my hands and everything else you're looking at is blurry. And maybe I'll swap cameras and use this camera up top for this camera. And then, I don't know. Still trying to figure this out. But, let's see. Alright, so we've got that. We need to get the USB-C connector here. Let's down for a minute. Now I wasn't really thinking about how I was going to connect the wires, so I figured I was just going to solder them on there, so I'll probably just solder them on there. So let me just get some flux. Now all we're really using on this is the voltage and the ground, which is the V there and the ground, and then you've got your digital inputs here is what I'm assuming, the input output or something. I'm not really sure. I haven't really looked at the specs on this connector to see what it has on it, but that's my assumption anyways. So come on out there. Need a lot of flux on there, and this solder does have some in it, I think, but I like to use flux just to make sure I'm getting that where it needs to be. So this wire doesn't really need to be that long because it's really just going to here. That's it. So I'm just gonna leave it a little bit long. You want to give yourself like a what do you call it, a maintenance loop, so to speak. Give yourself some wire so that if you have to come back and do something or add something to it, then you have some wire to work with. So I'm just gonna give about this much. Give me enough distance to pull this thing out if I need to, or cut it in the middle and add something else to power. Something else needs power in here or something. Give this some flux. Tin it. Downside to having the wire this small with the sheath like this is if you use too much heat with your soldering iron, you kind of tend to heat the wire up really fast, and the sheathing that protects the wire is going to shrink and kind of pull back a little bit more. I'm basically going to stick this through the hole here, voltage, and just solder it directly, stick it through the bottom here, solder it directly to the pad. But before I do that, which I make this mistake a lot, is I need to put shrink tubing. I'm going to put shrink tubing on these just to protect them a little bit so that they don't ever touch. Let's see. Slide it on the end here. This is where I always make that mistake because I forget to do that, and so I will solder it on here, and basically end up for not putting it on there or having to desolder just to put it on there. And of course, let's grab my torch here. On like a loose flame. Just kind of go up and down a little bit. I don't want to put too much heat on it, so I'm just kind of going in and out, letting it cool off a little bit, going in and out. You can see that tube shrink. Okay, that's probably good. For this connection, I'm not really worrying about that too much. To get this through here. So now I'm just going to add some solder to that and just solder it in place. Just like that. So that's on there. Now I'm just going to take these snips and just snip the tip off of there. So now it's nice and connected. We don't really have any wires sticking up, so as you can see here, connected real nice. And we're going to do the same with this black wire here. Going to be our ground or our negative. Tin this too. It's light on this camera, on the ring camera portion of it is kind of nice because I can actually see everything real nice and hold it up to the camera, so that's working out good. And then of course I always lose my tools in the middle working. Here's my tweezers. Don't really need them though for this, I think. But I'm gonna shove that in the bottom here. That stick through. And iron and pull some solder off. Just give it a little tappy. Ooh, that got a little hot, but that's alright. Don't touch the contact. Duh. Alright. Now, I don't really intend this channel to be a I know everything, I'm gonna show you the right way or the wrong way of doing things. For me, it's more about showing how to debug, how to troubleshoot, how to figure things out on the fly, showing that even if you don't know how to do something, you can still do it. You can still figure things out. It takes some challenging things sometimes to do it, but this is how we learn, and it's okay to fail. So one of my design pieces on this, I didn't want to print this base again because it took like 9 hours to print just the base, and I ended up gluing him on the top. But I have one little flaw in it that I'm not super happy about, but as you can see there's like a gap on each side. Oop. See, so there's a gap right here on each side of this. I didn't intend that to be there. I meant to adjust the little cutting block to come in a little more so this fit a little nicer in here, but I forgot. So we get what we get, and that's what's gonna be. So probably should have soldered those on the top, but I think it'll be okay. Now that I'm looking at it, as I forgot that that's gonna sit like that, and I did design this slot to only go this way. It can't flip it over because there's a little shelf where this circuit board sits. As you can see, like it won't flop up or anything. So it does sit in there. It does sit in there fairly snug, but not super snug. So I just want to hold it in there with something. Debating on super glue or just some hot glue. One of the things I don't really like about hot glue, at least my hot glue gun, is it takes forever to heat up and it's not very accurate. Not to say that my method is either, but sometimes it's quicker. Sometimes it's quicker if I just take a stick of hot glue and my torch here and actually turn it on torch. You can kind of see the flame. You just heat this thing up. Well, it's nice and hot. And then just go in here and just drip some hot glue on it. It's not the prettiest thing, but usually it gets the job done. Sometimes I gotta do it again, like I do right now. Play with fire, kids. If you're trying to do this as a kid, you should definitely ask an adult to help you. Hot glue can be fun, but messy. So that looks like it's in there. Let's just see if I can push some of that in there while it's still warm. Sometimes hot glue can be nice to use, and sometimes it can be a pain to use because it just doesn't want to stick on things. Now see, that's not gonna hold. See how that's, I mean, it's still a little soft, but it's not really to my liking. It's moving a little bit. What that means to me is that if someone comes and goes to push their USB-C in, see how it moves, and they could do that, and now they can't use it anymore because they went and pushed it in there and it pushed it out. So I'm gonna not use hot glue. So we failed on that, which is fine because this is how we learn. So I'm gonna take this hot glue off. I could use this hot glue. This hot glue is a really good insulator. So if you are trying to insulate your electronics, you don't have, you know, shrink tube or things like that, or you want like a really good strong insulator to help keep your wires in one place. Super good. This hot glue is pretty good. I need to get it out. So let me grab this guy. this stuff out. There's either still some, I know there's still some there. It's alright. We're gonna deal with that later. Let's put this in after we're done, because I want to get this thing lit up. And it's actually, give me a moment. I forgot to grab my drink, but I'm still with you here. But I gotta walk out here and grab some water. Much better. Hopefully you can hear me all right. My microphone is not the best. I'm trying to work on that, on getting a new one, something that sounds a little better. I'm just using the ones on my headphones and trying to use some software here to kind of improve my voice and, you know, make sure that it sounds all right. But all right, let's keep going here. So we've got our negative going to our switch, and then to our switch leg here. So these two need to go connect in between the LEDs. And so let's see how this is going to work here. I need to see if these two are going to be enough or if I need more. So I've got two holes I drilled at the bottom here to go into each of his feet, and I'm just going to stick the LEDs like right here and have it shine up through his feet to see how it looks. I don't feel like it's going to be bright enough, so I may have to end up like running some white wire in here with it or something, or using some of the solid copper wire to kind of make them float. But I honestly don't know how any of that's gonna look, so let's see here. You know what, I guess let's just hook up one of these and test it and see how it's gonna look. The soldering iron shut off, so this is one thing I do like about these is they do automatically shut off, because I am a forgetful person. It scares me sometimes, and sometimes I do forget to shut off the soldering iron, and I do have a wired one, and so right now, in order to combat that, I actually unplug it every time I'm not using it. Every time I'm done, I unplug it so that I don't forget to to disconnect it or to turn it off. All right, so let's just gonna solder one of these on here for right now. Negative side. I'm not super knowledgeable on the reasoning for certain things with electronics. Now if you look here, let's see if we can get this to focus. So I've got some solder on here I'm trying to put on here, and it's not quite sticking. This flux here does help a lot to get solder to stick to these wires. Just a little bit. And the same solder that I have on here just goes right on there. Flux is some amazing stuff. Of course, I'm doing it right where the little square is for the top camera. And just do this. Hide that top camera if that's focus. Focus. Alright. Yep. So, alright, so I tinned that, so let's just get some solder on this. Just need to connect it up. I don't want to cut these just yet. I'm sure I don't need them super long like they are, but I don't like to cut things I don't need to. Now, I'm just holding these with my bare fingers. Probably best to use some tweezers or something like that if you can, or if you can use some clamps. I've got all sorts of clamps here, but I just haven't pulled them out because you can burn yourself, and that's not fun. Let's get some flux on this. Some solder on it. Tin the LEDs. Gonna connect this end here to the LED. Ouch! See, burned myself a little bit. The wires get really hot really fast. Wasn't that bad, but just got hot, so I let go. So I'm gonna get this little guy to help me hold things a little better. My boys call this the robot, but it is going to allow me hold this a little better. Whoops. Make sure I get the short end on the negative. Oops. Oops. So a lot of times when I'm doing this, I'm just sitting here by myself at night after everyone goes to bed. And I'm usually fixing something or building something, or I don't know, just whatever comes to mind. I actually tried to make a video about these headphones over here. I was gonna live stream me rebuilding those and putting them back together, and it ended up not letting me stream because I'd never streamed before, never requested streaming, so it made me wait 24 hours. And so instead I tried to record a video of me doing these headphones up here. You can see them right here. And I 3D printed the outsides here because they constantly broke. And I'm actually wearing another pair of these that I fixed first. I'll show you. So that's what they're supposed to look like when they're all done. Now I got done with that, but I need to take apart a piece of it because the headphone doesn't push back in like it's supposed to, so it's just hitting something. So I gotta figure out what it's hitting and fix that. But they should work. Unfortunately, I can't remember if I just mentioned this or not, but the video that I made for these of me doing it was like an hour. It ended up being like an hour and a half long, and all of my audio got really badly scrambled, and I sounded like there was like a demon voice in the background that was basically being caused by the audio software I was using that was helping translate my voice into like a more studio sound, but it was picking up these. I don't have like a little cover, like a foam cover on my microphone, and so it was picking up my fan randomly, and it was translating the sound into some really garbled, scary sounding stuff. Sounds like a growl almost. So I don't know. I'm gonna still try and release the video, and I'm gonna have to cut it down and stuff, but I'm probably gonna end up having to dub over the whole thing, which is not gonna be fun. Alright, so those are connected. So with those connected, we should be able to plug that in. Let me just clean this. That there. So we should be able to plug this in, see the LED light up, and see the switch work. Alright, so the switch should be on. We flip the switch and off. Go. So light is on, off. You can see it flipping on and off when I flip this switch. So now I want to test just one LED. I'm going to just stuff that in there, that hole, and need to turn some lights off, I suppose, so I can actually see it. So let's turn off all the lights. Should I turn all of them off? Guess let me set him up like this. You know what? That's not too bad. It's just a nice little glow. If I added 2, it'd be even better, I think. That actually looks pretty good. Dang, I might have not had to cut his back out. Okay, let's try this. Let me turn my ceiling light off. Alright, so yeah, check that out. He is, he's looking pretty good there. So you can kind of see the flaws I was talking about. Some of these lines here that go up to here, it like double walled on some of the places inside that it wasn't, even though I hollowed it out and just told it to do certain thickness of the walls, there's a couple spots right here where it actually double walled. His hand's not very lit up. I wonder, maybe this sucks is you'll probably see it. If I run a wire in here, you'll probably see it. So I don't know if I could get away with running a wire up to his hand to make his hand glow. That would be really cool. But I'm hoping maybe 2 LEDs in each of the legs might be enough. Now, I don't know if adjusting where the LED is matters. How high it goes. So if I stick it right at the base, so that's where it is, like, so here it's out. As soon as I stick it in the hole, it just lights right up. That's so cool. So yeah, I'm just shoving it in that hole there. So if I stick in his other leg, you can see that. So I don't think, between these two sides, I don't think it's gonna really light up his hand very well, but you know, that's okay. Because I suspect if I were to, yeah, so you can see how thin this wall is. If I ran a wire in here, ran it up to his arm, you'd be able to see that. I mean, I guess if I ran it right in the middle, it might be diffused enough. I mean, I can try that. Let me stick it in his back and see if I can stick it in his back here. If I ran around here, all the way up to like right here. Oh, so you can see this, like the spotlight from the LED now. So like, yeah. So no, I think it'd be fine. It'll be fine the way it is. Hey Google, turn the ceiling light on. I hope that didn't set off any of your anyone's Google at home. Yes. Oh. It was talking to me, so I had to be quiet for a second. So yeah, so this looks like it'll work good. And so I could probably actually shove them. Let me turn these lights back on. Got a lot of lights. Oh, yep, there we go. All right, so it looks like sticking that in there is going to work out good. And this one I could probably actually just hot glue, because I don't need it to be super stable. I just need it to hold. Now, if I run 2 LEDs off of this, is it going to dim? I mean, it should probably dim a little bit, but I don't know if the resistor is gonna matter much with 2. So I could probably run both of these off of one resistor. Yeah, they're pretty bright. Alright, so that works. So what I'm going to do is unplug this, now that we know it works, and I'm going to take this off. So we're taking these off. I need to also use the tweezers so I don't burn my fingers, or use the little robot guy. So I'm just going to come on. There we go. So, this is on, so I'm just gonna heat this up real quick and it'll just fall right off. I'll heat this up, falls right off. Alright, so now I need to figure out a good way to connect these. So I'm gonna just take this, and I need my pliers, which are somewhere on my desk. Where are my pliers? There they are, way over there. So what I'm gonna do, oops, I got the wrong camera view. Let's do this view here. So I'm gonna take this LED here, and I think I'm gonna have it go through there about, that's probably good. So a little ways through there. So I'm just gonna take those, I'm gonna bend those. That way, when it goes in here, it's going to go towards the other LED, and then I'm going to take the other LED and bend it the same way, and then I will put a resistor on the bottom between the two. So let me bend these, make sure I've got them the same direction. This music sounds like the ending of like a 90s sitcom. Can't remember if the blinking, okay, blinking is just heating up. Alright. So I need to connect these together, one to power and one to the resistor. So let's do the resistor first. Let's get that all settled. So let me pop that off of here. Let's get the wire length going. So this is going to sit in here. Push that back in there. Okay. This is going to go up here to about right there. See, I'm doing it again. Here, move my arm around. Say, actually see. So it's going to go about there. So I'll leave a little bit of slack in that. So I'm just going to catch that right there. Strip it. More. Twist the wires. A little flux by just dipping it in the tube. I got hot glue all over here. Right. Some flux on it. Tin it. Now, gotta make sure to put the shrink tube on so we can protect some of these connections, especially being as close as they're gonna be, sitting like this. They have the potential to touch, and we don't want that. That's not good. So that's cause a short and potentially cause something. Could cause a fire maybe, but the reality is with this stuff, maybe not. At least I've never seen it. Doesn't mean it can't happen though. Alright. So these two LEDs need to connect together like this. So I'm gonna just shove them in here to just make sure I can see where they're gonna connect. They got a pretty good distance. Okay, so I got a good amount. Oops, don't fall all the way in there. At least I have a way to get them out if they did fall in there. Otherwise I might be fishing those out for hours. So I'm gonna need the robot guy for this. Let's see, should I change views here? Yeah, probably. So if I can maneuver these all right. They'll probably sit about right there. Oh, I'm gonna probably use hot glue to protect these instead of shrink tube, at least for the LEDs, since I'm already using hot glue to hold them in there. So I'm gonna leave those the way they are there, and I need to connect our resistor. So our resistor, I'm just gonna cut about the same length as there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing with this ever really does. This is just a simple LED circuit using 5 volts from your from the wall, basically, from any modern phone charger. So anyone can do this, it's not hard. just gonna tin the wires a little bit here. You can see that. You can see that shrinking. The shrinkage is real. This is kind of out of my element, doing streaming and videos and stuff and talking, because I'm not usually the talking type, at least a lot, but when I'm talking about stuff I'm passionate about, sometimes I can kind of go. This stuff is fun to me to learn, to play around with. And it's always a good experience to learn new things. The arms on the robot are occupied, so to use this guy. No. Octopus. Really, I bought this guy, but I haven't really used him a whole lot. Yeah. It's got big clamps, so it's kind of hard sometimes to deal with. And it's kind of big and bulky. But I can probably don't need the other arm. I can hold that wire with my hand. Gotta get it close enough. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna put this on here, but I'm also gonna slip a little shrink tube on it. I should probably slip a tiny one on this one, because all I'm really doing, I'm not gonna go over the whole resistor. I'm just trying to protect the wire. I don't know if this one will go on there. That one's pretty small. Let's try one of these red ones here. Of course, not the right color, but whatever. Yeah, so the red one size. Let's see if there's a black one with that size. There is. Okay. Trying to match the colors with some of the shrink tube, but no, I only have limited of this little shrink tube here. Let's see if this size is the same. It's a real tight fit, jeez. It does go on there, but let's. You know what? There's a bigger one. Found a bigger one, I think. I don't know about that. Well, I really only need it for the length on this. So, if I look at the length on that, I'm going to cut this a little bit further. I want to cover all the wires. I'm going to stick the rest of that back in that baggie. Drag close the baggie. Right, now you want to, when you're putting shrink tube on, you want to make sure you put it down far enough, if you can, that it's away from where you're soldering, because, you know, if you heat it up, it'll shrink. And we don't want it to shrink until we actually want it to shrink. Right? So, got some solder here. Now, this isn't, from what I've seen, this is not the normal way people have soldered. Let me turn this a little more. But it's the way I learned. Works the best for me, and you can. A lot of people, they'll say, oh, you put the soldering iron and you heat the Allen, and then you take the solder and you push the solder into it. But I get that. But if I just take some of this solder here, and now it sticks to my tip, and I just tap this on there, it's gonna, because I got flux on there, it's gonna flow right off. And once I give it a second to cool down, it's holds real good, and it just transfers from my soldering iron tip right onto where I want to solder. And then I just wipe the excess off, and it's still tinned. I don't know if you can get it. Come on, focus. You can see that shiny tip. Shiny. Sorry, it's a little late. How long has this been going on? I'm not really sure. I don't see any time. And of course my chat is disabled, and I'm not sure why. Looks like I started this about an hour ago, so it's been going for about an hour. Alright, that's not too bad. Alright, so let's lift that shrink tube back up. See if it'll go over the top of that solder. Maybe, maybe not. There we go. Alright. We're just going to hit it with the torch. Now we don't want a super flame, we just want a tiny little, like, lighter equivalent. And we'll just shrink that. There we go. Now it's all... Oh, heat it up a little too much and it'll burn. Alright, so there we go. So now that's all good on there, and so now I'm going to take this and I'll cut this a little more. I'm going to turn it sideways like this. Actually, I'll cut it here. And where's my pliers? Oh, there. Take this and I'm going to just turn it sideways and flux it down. Give a nice tinning to it. Go. Some solder on there. That just helps it go on a lot better and stick to the things you want it to stick to. And so now I need my robot. It's just got my LEDs, which I bumped and misaligned them, but that's okay. You put the soldering iron down, get this guy out of the way, and let's get the robot back over here. So we need to solder up both of these. Line these guys up. Right there. Alright, that looks pretty good. So we've got our positive on the top and our negative on the bottom. So I'm just gonna, let's do this guy negative first here. So I'm gonna turn this so I get more wire. Right. It's gonna sit about right. Of course, my hand's blocking it and the other camera's blocking it. There we go. Up close. Let me know if you're watching this and you're able to comment now or later if you're actually sitting there watching. If this works well for you as far as understanding what I'm doing. This of course is not working well for me because it's not focusing. There we go. So like back further, I guess. So my goal is to try and get that stuck right there. Yeah, I definitely think I need a camera that zooms right here, or that I can adjust focus to so you can see what I'm doing. But basically attach this to there. So let's, of course my soldering iron turned off again. No, so it doesn't die, because it might be dying. I'm gonna plug it in while I'm using it. I'm gonna get some solder on here, and I'm just gonna give it a little tappy. Tap, tap, taparoo. There we go. Looks like both LEDs are connected. Perfect. So now I'm going to take the switch leg and try and see if I can adjust this a little bit. Angle. Need an angle on it. I'll stick that right there. Basically solder it right down on the top of that. Open. Actually, might be easier for me to solder from the bottom there, but I'm having trouble getting a good angle. Oh, you know, I'll bend this down. There we go. That's better. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, let's solder that on there. Good. LEDs are on there. They don't feel like they're going anywhere, so let's clean up the solder on the tip here. Right. Let me plug this and let's plug it in. I'm just going to hold this in there when I plug it in. And there we go. Our LEDs are lit. Go. These are LEDs, lit bright and working. Flip the switch, you turn off and on, and off and on. Yay! Alright, so now if I stick them inside there, they should fit right in there. Move this guy out of the way. Oh, stick them in there. Fit right in there. Perfect. That's perfect. Okay, and they light him up. Of course, it's too bright in here right now to see that, but I think I'm going to use super glue to hold those in. Hold that connection in. Or you know what? I could probably plastic weld it in there. Maybe. That might actually work better. I want to be able to potentially have to remove that, but it also should be permanent. So, yep. Looks like it works good. Alright, so before we do that, let's get these in there and I'm gonna hot glue that right in there. Okay, so I'm going to change views for this. Let's go top only here, and we'll zoom in a little bit. Oh, is it zoomed all the way? There we go. Zoom in with some. Alright. Oh. I'm gonna take this hot glue guy right here. I'm just gonna hold it right above it. We're trying. I might kind of just let it drip on there. Now, it's still gooey. I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to push it all over there. Slather it up. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, the sticky goodness. Looks like it needs a little more. Now, left, I didn't cover that. Didn't cover that resistor here, because I want to later on, I want somebody who ever opens this up to be able to see what resistor's there on that LED, just in case they need to change it out or something in the future. Built a little access panel for the bottom of this, so once I'm done, I'm gonna just put a couple dabs of super glue to hold it in there, but I left a little hole there in case you want to pry it up and pop it out. I'll show you that when I'm done here. But we got that in there. The LEDs are still working. So you can see them turn on and off. And I flip that switch. Right. Now I need to get this plug here situated. I think the best way is probably to plastic weld it, so let me get up here. We'll get some red. So for plastic welding, I like to use these little strips that come off the printer. So they're little test strips that you get off every plate when it prints, and they work really well for plastic welding, especially when you're welding the same plastic. This strip came from printing something with this red, so I know the red's going to match, and it's also going to help me. This is just PLA, so it's very the type of plastic is called PLA, so it's very low melting temperature. So I'm going to try. Let's see if you can see me doing this, but it's going to be kind of hard because I'm trying to get it in some of the gaps there. So I'm just going to melt this. Now I need to probably lower the temperature on this a little bit so PLA melts pretty low. The lowest this thing goes is 390, so I'm just turn it all the way down. Now you can see I'm using my same soldering iron tip. I clean it off, so it's okay. You can see this will melt to this. And just it kind of honestly works kind of like solder. You can see it kind of just melt right onto it. And then I can take that, just slather it onto whatever I'm working on. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I might need to turn this up a little bit just to have it heat up, melt faster. But once I get into a spot, I can use this just like a stick welder and just hold the soldering iron right by it and then just push this piece right into there, and it just melts right into where I need it to. Now it's kind of hard to get around to the other side. It's very small, but I'm gonna try and just melt it onto the casing on the top to just. All we're doing is trying to hold this in there so it doesn't go anywhere. So even if I don't get it on the whole thing, as long as I get it enough to where it's not gonna go anywhere. Yeah, it's gonna stick to the casing here. So I can even just rub it in right here. Turn this a little more so you can see what I'm doing here. So I lift these wires up. So I can just lay that down.
turn this back down a little bit. It is burning a little hot. So now I can lay that down in. So now I've got this little corner right there. Let's just double check that that connection looks good. So that looks good. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to lay it flat, and I'm just going to quickly rub this back and forth on this right into the bottom of that board. So I'm just kind of pushing it in there and binding the plastic to that bottom of that board. And give it a second to harden up a little more, and that thing is almost solid. Needs a little more. Now I want to do it from the front right here to fill in those holes, but I know that if I did that I would mess this front up and then make it look bad, so I'm not going to do that. So instead what I'm going to do is try and get more back behind it, which is going to be hard because this of course I can't pick up this piece of filament there. There we go. So it's still a little loose on the side, so I'm gonna try and get some of it in the back there on the other side. Kinda hard to see inside all these lights on. Sometimes plastic welding isn't the prettiest thing, but it can be pretty functional and save you from some of your printing mishaps or just damaged plastic. I don't know how many times I've had to use plastic welding to repair a kid's toy because they manufacturer sucks at designing structural toys that last more than a day or a week because they didn't put enough time and effort into how it's supported for whatever mechanical task it's supposed to be doing, like a remote control airplane or just a little car that drives around on a track. So just smoothing some of this stuff out, making sure that it's in there good. Blow on it. Let's see if it moves. I pull on these wires. See, that feels pretty solid. Doesn't really feel like it's moving. Let's do the test with the actual plug. Feels pretty solid. Doesn't feel like it's moving or gonna pop out anywhere. That's great. It feels like it's holding really good. Alright, so I think we'll call that done. Alright. So there you have it. So there's our little circuit. Just got the LEDs in there. So, last thing to do is glue the back on. So let's just do that. Let's do that real quick here. That way we can actually say we are actually done. So I'm just going to take some super glue here, and I'm going to try and put it on the inside as much as I can. I don't want it to bleed outside because I don't want to have to clean that up or have to have you see that when it's done. This super glue dries fairly quickly, but should be good for this. Spread out the super glue a little more. Make sure I get good coverage. Oh, just find the cap. Back here. Right up top there. Can't position this. Oh. Like I have to push on it a little bit, so I'm gonna have to sit here and hold this for a second, of course. But while I do, I'm gonna say this was fun. Hopefully it was entertaining, educational, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't really matter that you're watching or you're not watching, honestly. I just figured I would do this so I could share what I was always doing at this workbench without a camera. Because a lot of times people always ask me, like, what are you actually doing on your workbench? What are you fixing? What do you do with all that stuff? And this is just one of many things I do with all the stuff I have on my workbench. So yeah, this feels like it's on there pretty good. I can't move it anymore, so there we go. So now let's actually plug this in one more time and test it. Always test your stuff before you close everything up. So let's flip it on. Looks like the lights turn on and off. And let's give it one last test. Let's turn some of these lights off. This one too. Alright, nice and dark. Ooh, super dark now. Alright, and we're gonna turn it on. Oh, there he is. There he is. All his glowy glory. I think he looks pretty awesome. I'm proud of him. And that's pretty much it. Just got to put the back on. Let's turn all of the 4 lights that I have on. Yeah, that's probably good for that. And so now that works, let's turn that off. And I'll unplug that, and let's get this back covered up. Wondering if I should just do a little dab of hot glue right there to hold that wire down. I'll do that real quick, because that'll definitely make it at least satisfied me a little bit to feel like everything's secure. There we go. Now that's all nice and secure. Good to go. So let's glue the bottom on, which is, of course, somewhere else. Knock it down on the floor. Oh, there it is. Right, so I put this little hole in there. so that we can pop this out later. And it just fits right down on there. Just need to put a couple dabs of super glue. I think I'll probably just stick some on the side. They're a little thicker. Good. Okay, let's put this on. Alright, it's right on there. That's it. He is done. Right. So I didn't have to use that other resistor after all. So I can put that back, which I will do later. And yeah, that's it. I mean, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. And if you'd please join me on my next Random Workbench video, that'd be awesome. I've got a few videos made. I've just got to edit them, which is not my strong suit. So once I get those done, I will post those and probably do more live streams. So, alright, thanks, and until next time.